Young Thug reportedly asked a store to skip one of Gunna's songs, and it didn't take long for Gunna to respond. But instead of starting another public feud, he handled it in a way almost nobody expected. And it says a lot about where their relationship stands now. Let me catch you up. Let's start with the moment that got everyone talking. Young Thug took the stage at Lyrical Lemonade's Summer Smash Festival last summer and ran through his catalog for the crowd. When he got to Ski, a song off Slime Language 2 that features Gunna, something was different. Under normal circumstances, the line goes, "Bitch got a backwood on her nightstand, she must be fucking with Gunna." But during this performance, Gunna's name was muted in the backing track, and Thug didn't rap it out loud either. Think about that for a second. This isn't a deep cut nobody remembers. Ski is a real song off a real album with Gunna's verse baked into the track. And when it came time to perform it live, the engineer cut the audio right where Gunna's name should have been. Fans in the crowd caught it instantly. Clips went up online within hours, with people asking the same question over and over. Why would Thug erase his own artist from his own song? It wasn't an isolated one-off either. This fits a pattern Thug had already been building. A few months earlier in November, he'd posted something on social media that read plainly, telling Gunna to stop acting like they were friends online and that he didn't even know him. "Gunna, stop acting like we friends on the internet. I don't know you, my guy," the tweet read. He deleted it fast, but not fast enough. Screenshots were already circulating, and the internet doesn't forget a deleted tweet. It just archives it. So now you've got two data points. A public tweet cutting Gunna off, followed months later by a literal muting of Gunna's voice on a live stage. Two separate moments, same message, "I'm done with you." Gunna didn't respond right away. For months he said nothing, at least not directly. But then came his album, The Last One, released as what's reportedly Gunna's final project under Young Thug's YSL Records. Buried on a track called Prototype, Gunna finally addressed it. In the song, Gunna seemingly responded to Thug's deleted tweet, claiming the name drop must have been a typo, rapping, "NA had tweeted my name. Musta had to be a typo." That's the reaction. Not a diss track, not a press interview. A single bar, tucked into an album track, sarcastically brushing off the tweet as an accident. Fans immediately connected the dots. Many listeners interpreted the line as a direct response to the now infamous tweet. And the timing wasn't lost on anybody either. The context and the timing suggested the bar was intentional, dropped on what could be his last album on the label Thug built. Now, Gunna wasn't the only one who had something to say about all this. This whole situation has been dragging other names into it too. Take Lil Baby and Lil Durk. Both of them were close with Thug going back years, and both of them made their feelings about Gunna known publicly. Lil Baby and Lil Durk, both close collaborators of Thug, publicly denounced Gunna for his Alford plea in December 2022, which got him out of having to attend trial and freed him from jail. That's two more major artists in the same circle who took Thug's side before Thug had even started muting songs. Then there's the interview trail. Thug sat down for GQ back in April and got asked point blank where things stood with Gunna. He didn't bite. "I know everybody wonders what our relationship is like now," Thug said, before adding, "I don't know." No elaboration, no follow-up, just a shrug dressed up in words. That kind of answer only fuels more questions, and it did. And then you've got the leaked jail calls, which brought a fourth voice into this whole thing, 21 Savage. Alleged leaked phone calls of Young Thug speaking to 21 Savage from jail hit the internet, all but confirming that the once fruitful relationship between Gunna and Young Thug was no more. Savage wasn't dragged into this as a combatant. He was just a person on the other end of the line while Thug vented about everything falling apart. But his presence in those calls made the story bigger than a two-man beef. It became something the whole Atlanta rap scene was watching unfold in real time. So by the time Gunna dropped that must have had to be a typo line, the internet already had a scoreboard going. Thug mutes the song. Thug tweets and deletes. Thug won't answer directly in interviews. Lil Baby and Durk publicly turn on Gunna. Leaked calls confirmed the freeze-out to 21 Savage. And through almost all of it, Gunna stayed quiet until he didn't. That single bar on Prototype was Gunna's first real public acknowledgement that he knew exactly what Thug had done and exactly what it meant. He didn't scream about it. He didn't cry about it. He just said it, on record, in his own voice, on what might be his final YSL release. And that's really the whole shape of this story in miniature. Thug erasing Gunna in public, one method after another, and Gunna calmly clocking every single one of them without ever raising his voice. But to understand why a muted verse and a deleted tweet carry this much weight, you have to go back further. You have to understand who these two were to each other before any of this started. Because the reason a muted name on a festival stage stings this much is because of just how loud their names used to be together. Before there was a snub, before there was a tweet, before there was any mute button involved, there were just two guys from Atlanta who found each other through a mutual friend. That friend's name was Keith Troop, known around Atlanta as King Troop. Gunna and Thug first interacted back in 2015 after they were introduced through mutual friend and local Atlanta community leader Keith King Troop. Troop wasn't a rapper himself, but he was a connector, the kind of guy who brought people together and told them to stay focused. At the time, Young Thug was deep in his Barter 6 run, and Gunna stopped by the rappers with that music video shoot for an introduction. That one studio visit changed both of their lives. Gunna talked about Troop years later in an interview, describing him almost like family. "He was like my uncle," Gunna told Billboard in 2018. Troop was the guy telling both of them to stay out of trouble and remember there was more to life than the streets. But before either of them could fully absorb that advice, Troop was gone. Their bond was strengthened following the death of Troop in December of 2015. A loss Gunna has spoken about extensively. Losing Troop didn't pull them apart. It pulled them closer. Grief has a way of doing that, especially between two young guys trying to make it in a brutal industry. And what came out of that grief was one of the most important label rollouts in Atlanta rap history. Young Thug officially introduced Gunna to the world in 2016 with the release of his album Jeffrey. On that album's second track, Floyd Mayweather, Gunna got his first official verse under the YSL banner. It was a small moment on the calendar, but a massive one for Gunna's career. On the album's second track, Gunna dropped off his first official verse affiliated with YSL, and it turned out to be just the start of something much bigger. The chemistry between them was obvious from the jump. On that same album, the two of them traded the same line back and forth like they were reading each other's minds. "Do this shit all on my own. Don't need no deal." Gunna and Thug spit simultaneously. That's not a coincidence in the studio. That's two artists who had locked into the same wavelength. From there, Gunna's rise happened fast, and it happened almost entirely under Thug's wing. Gunna dropped off his debut Drip Season mixtape on YSL Records in October of 2016. The mixtape series became Gunna's signature run, the thing that built his reputation as one of the most distinct voices to come out of Atlanta's new generation. Every project traced back to the label Thug had built and the trust Thug had put in him. By the time Slime Language 2 dropped, featuring Ski, the two of them were far past mentor and mentee. They were label mates who had built something together, a sound, a brand, a whole extended family of YSL artists orbiting around them. The song that would later have Gunna's name muted on a festival stage was, at the time it was recorded, a celebration of exactly how tight they'd become. That's what makes the muting so jarring when you actually sit with it. This wasn't two strangers who happened to be on a label together. This was a guy Thug personally discovered, personally put on his own album, personally built into a star through his own imprint. The kind of bond that started over a shared grief for a mutual friend and grew into a full label empire. And it's worth remembering, this dynamic wasn't just about music. Behind the scenes, YSL Records became something much bigger than a label. It became a collective, a crew, a whole ecosystem of artists who traveled together, recorded together, and were legally tied together in ways nobody fully understood until prosecutors got involved. Young Thug attends Gunna's DS4 Evier LA listening party in January 2022, a moment captured while their relationship still looked, from the outside, like it always had. Photos from that era show them side by side, smiling, nothing but two guys who came up together enjoying the fruits of it. Nobody at that listening party had any idea what was coming just a few months later. Nobody could have predicted that a court case would tear apart a friendship that had survived a decade, survived a death, survived the pressure of fame. But that's exactly what happened next, and it's the reason everything that followed, the tweets, the mutes, the deleted posts, the Tipo bar, carries the weight that it does. You don't get that kind of bitterness between people who were never close. You only get it between people who used to be everything to each other. So with that foundation in mind, the friendship, the label, the years of built-up trust, we can turn to the event that cracked it all open. Because what happened next didn't just strain their relationship. It put both of their names and their freedom on the line at the same time. In May of 2022, Atlanta law enforcement dropped one of the biggest hip-hop indictments in the city's history, and both Thug and Gunna were named in it. In 2022, The two, along with 26 other men, were ensnared in the YSL RICO case brought by Fulton County District Attorney Fannie Willis. Prosecutors weren't just going after individual charges. They were arguing something much bigger and much more dangerous for both artists' careers. Prosecutors alleged that Thug and Gunna were co-bosses of a street gang, while Thug has maintained YSL was never a criminal organization. Think about what that meant in practice. Every lyric either of them had ever written, every song they'd made together, every slime they'd thrown up in a photo, all of it became potential evidence in a courtroom. The label they built together was now being read back to them as a conspiracy. Both Atlanta rappers were arrested within days of each other in May 2022 after YSL Records' indictment. Same case, same charges, same starting line. But what happened after that arrest is where their paths split for good. Gunna took a plea deal and was released a few months later, in December. Specifically, he entered what's known as an Alford plea, a legal maneuver where a defendant doesn't admit guilt but acknowledges prosecutors likely have enough evidence to convict. As part of that plea, Gunna had to sit for a hearing and answer for the label they'd both poured years into. In December 2022, Gunna took an Alford plea that required a hearing where he affirmed to Judge Glenda J. Kendrick that YSL was a gang that must end. Read that again in open court. Under oath, Gunna had to describe YSL, the thing Thug built, the thing that gave Gunna his career, as a gang that needed to be shut down. Whatever the legal strategy behind it, whatever his lawyers advised, the words themselves landed like a betrayal to the people still sitting in that courtroom facing years behind bars. Gunna's attorney tried to get ahead of the fallout immediately. His attorney, Steve Sato, took to Instagram to defend his client, emphasizing that the rapper had not snitched on any other defendant and asking the public to stop spreading lies. But in hip-hop, a plea deal that gets you out while your friends stay locked up doesn't get read as a legal technicality. It gets read as a stripe, and that stripe followed Gunna everywhere for the next 2 years. Thug, meanwhile, stayed locked up. His case dragged on, eventually becoming the longest trial in Georgia's history at the time. While Gunna was out working on new music and doing interviews, Thug was sitting in a courtroom every single day, watching co-defendants take deals one by one while he held out. That's a specific kind of psychological weight, watching the people you built something with peel off one at a time, while you're the one who stays. The trial finally wrapped on Halloween of 2024. Young Thug's lengthy RICO trial finally concluded, with the rapper being freed after entering a plea deal, resulting in 15 years of probation for Thug, which also included stipulations around who he could and couldn't contact at YSL. Even his freedom came with legal fine print about Gunna specifically. His lawyer, Brian Steele, asked the judge if he could still work with Gunna, and Thug's biological brother Unfunk and Judge Paige Reese Whitaker approved both conditions, noting that Gunna was contractually obligated to interact with Thug as a result of being on YSL. So legally, on paper, a judge had ruled that these two men could still work together, still be in the same room, still make music if they wanted to. Thug had even asked for that door to be left open. When Thug entered his guilty plea during the YSL RICO trial and was freed, he specifically asked for the ability to speak to and work with his YSL mentee. But asking a judge for permission to speak to someone and actually wanting to speak to them are two very different things. And almost immediately after walking free, Thug made it clear which one this actually was. Freedom didn't bring reconciliation. It brought silence, then distance, then outright erasure. The first sign came fast. It was exciting news when the possibility of Thug working with Gunna surfaced, as no one had any clue where they stood, especially after Gunna was left off of King Slime's June 2023 album, Business is Business. That absence was already a message before Thug had even walked out of the courtroom. An album stacked with A-list Atlanta names, and the guy Thug personally discovered wasn't on it. Then came the deleted tweet, weeks after his release, the one where Thug flatly told Gunna he didn't know him. That single post did more damage to public perception of their relationship than almost anything else, because it wasn't subtle. It wasn't a missing feature or a muted verse. It was Thug, in his own words, drawing a line and telling Gunna which side of it he was on. From there, things kept escalating in small, deliberate moves. Around May of 2025, reports surfaced claiming Gunna had covered up his YSL tattoo entirely, and Thug couldn't resist commenting. Thug responded to the report in an Instagram comment, writing, "I mean, he said it must end LOL." referencing Gunna's Alfred plea statement. That's Thug throwing Gunna's own courtroom words back at him, months after the fact, in a public comment section for everyone to see. Then, weeks after that, came the muted ski performance, the moment that really pushed this into a story people couldn't ignore. And it wasn't just Thug's fans reacting. It rippled through the wider hip-hop conversation because it made something previously implied completely explicit. You can delete a tweet and claim it was a joke. You can leave someone off an album and call it a scheduling thing. But you can't mute a man's name in real time, on a live stage in front of thousands of people, and pretend that wasn't intentional. Woody, another former YSL affiliate who took a plea deal and testified during the trial, got pulled into a related but separate strand of this fallout. Thug, during an emotional podcast appearance, brought Woody's name up directly, accusing him of turning on people who'd helped him. "When them niggas was shooting at you, Lil Woody, I helped you hide," Thug said. "I gave you money to put your family and your baby mama and their mamas and sisters in hotels just to help you." Woody didn't take that sitting down either. Woody recently shot back and tried to refute Thug's claim that this all started because of him. That same podcast appearance is where the emotional weight of all this really surfaced. Talking to Atlanta media personality Big Bank Black, Thug got choked up describing what the plea deals had cost him personally. As Thug explained to Big Bank Black, his on-time friend crossed a line he doesn't feel like they can come back from, saying, "Once you rat or once you turn gay, and I don't got nothing against gay people, I can't look at you the same. I'ma just look at you like you broke a man code." He walked that framing back afterward, clarifying he didn't mean any disrespect to the LGBT community. But the initial comparison had already landed. He didn't stop there. Thug described exactly how much he'd invested in Gunna over the years, putting it in terms most people would understand. As a father talking about his own kids, Thug expressed that he invested heavily in Gunna and helped him in numerous ways, claiming, "I gave him more time than my kids." And when Banks suggested maybe Thug secretly wanted to forgive him, Thug shut that down flat. "No, I don't," Thug said. "I wish he did something lighter so I could forgive him. I done cried many nights over this shit." This is the emotional core underneath every muted verse and deleted tweet. It wasn't cold calculation. It was a guy who felt genuinely broken by what happened, channeling that hurt into small, repeated acts of erasure, rather than one big blowout. Since the YSL trial started, Thug has lost friends and opportunities while incarcerated, while Gunna has become a pariah for many in the rap game. And Gunna, through all of it, kept doing what he'd been doing since 2022, denying, defending, moving forward. In an April 2024 cover story with XXL, Gunna addressed the snitching rumors directly, saying, "I definitely feel like everybody's been misled. And when you're being misled, you got a choice to follow or make your own decisions." When asked point blank about his relationship with Thug in that same conversation, Gunna kept it simple. Gunna said it was love always, and that our relationship is our relationship. Two very different tones. Thug, publicly erasing and privately grieving. Gunna, publicly calm and privately, it seems, taking notes. Because everything Gunna heard, everything Gunna saw, muted or deleted or thrown at him in a comment section, eventually found its way onto that one line on Prototype. He never raised his voice about it in an interview. He waited and he put it on wax, the same place Thug had tried to erase him from in the first place. So where does all of this actually leave the two of them? The Lil Baby verse is probably the clearest recent signal of where Thug's head is at. A snippet from an upcoming Lil Baby project leaked online, and in it, Thug goes further than a muted track or a deleted tweet ever did. "Only reason I fucked with you, Gunna, it was cause of troop," he raps. That's Thug on a new song, telling the world the entire foundation of their friendship was never really about Gunna at all. It was about their late friend Troop, the man who introduced them back in 2015. If that bar is real, and if it makes the final album, it rewrites the whole story. It suggests the Bond people watched for nearly a decade, the one built on Jeffrey and Drip Season and Slime language, was, in Thug's retelling now, borrowed from someone else's memory the whole time. Gunna hasn't responded to that specific bar yet, at least not publicly. But given his track record over the past year, that doesn't mean nothing. It just means the answer, if it comes, probably won't be an interview or a tweet. It'll be a bar tucked into a verse delivered without a raised voice, the same way must have had to be a typo got delivered. That's really been Gunna's whole method through this entire stretch. Every time Thug has made a move to publicly distance himself, the tweet, the muted performance, the tattoo comment, the troop line, Gunna has let it sit, let people talk about it online, and then addressed it later, on his own terms, in his own music, without ever escalating into a full-blown response track. Meanwhile, Thug is still working toward his new album, Ooey Scooty, which has been teased repeatedly, without a firm release date. Thug is working on his new album, Ooey Scooty, though apart from the lead single, he has yet to announce an update regarding the project, including a release date. Whether Gunna's name shows up anywhere on that project, in any form, muted or otherwise, is exactly the kind of detail fans will be combing through the second it drops. As for whether the two of them ever actually reconcile, even people close to the situation aren't betting on it. Will Gunna and Young Thug bury the hatchet? It seems very unlikely. But then again, so did their rift, so it's anyone's guess. That's about as honest an assessment as anyone's given. A friendship built on a shared loss turned into one of Atlanta's biggest label success stories, torn apart by a courtroom, and now maintained only through subliminal bars aimed at each other, from opposite sides of a very public silence. What's clear is that neither man has fully closed the door, at least not in the way people usually close doors in rap beefs. There's no all-out diss track, no named confrontation in an interview, just years of small signals, a mute, a tweet, a deletion, a typo, a troop line, each one landing, each one getting answered eventually, just never in the room, never face to face, and never quite finished. Gunna's reaction, in the end, was never going to be loud. It was always going to be a single bar dropped quietly on his own album. The same way it happened, Thug tried to erase him one method at a time, and Gunna, every time, found a way to remind everyone he was still there, still listening, still keeping count. Vibe Young Thug has a message for rappers who snitch, seemingly aimed at Gunna. Rolling Stone, Young Thug tearfully speaks on Gunna's betrayal in new interview. Billboard, Young Thug, street politics, and rap music, Sportskeeda, musta had to be a typo. Gunna seemingly responds to Young Thug's deleted tweet about him on Prototype. Hot New Hip Hop, Gunna responds to Young Thug's tweet and delete on new album. Hot New Hip Hop, Young Thug takes a direct shot at Gunna on new Lil Baby album. Wrap up, Young Thug allegedly calls out Gunna by name on new Lil Baby album. Vlad TV fans believe Gunna addressed Young Thug's tweet about him on Prototype. Billboard, a timeline of Young Thug and Gunna's tumultuous relationship. Yahoo Entertainment, a timeline of Young Thug and Gunna's tumultuous relationship. Yahoo Entertainment, a timeline of Young Thug and Gunna's tumultuous relationship. https://www.yahoo.com/entertainment Joe Music articles timeline Young Thug Gunna tumultuous 165,347,595.html